All right, hopefully everybody got some lunch and was able to come in and sit down and eat. There are some shirts that you have pre-purchased, or some people have pre-purchased, that are still available out there. We'll be closing down around noon tomorrow, so if you can get back there and get it. And there are some people that I think they couldn't find your shirts. They did find them, so I don't have your names, but if you went there to get your shirt and it wasn't there, I believe they found them. So with that, a little bit of a treat, I guess. Reed Timmer from the Storm Chasers is going to talk for about 10 minutes on his trip to Vegas in the Dominator. And as everybody had their delays across the country flying in, he had his delays too. So a little bit of something we weren't planning on, but I think it'll be fun. So Reed Timmer.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me again this year. I had so much fun last year, and it was a great trip out. I thought it was very fitting that we encountered a lot of extreme weather on the trip from Oklahoma out here to Vegas. And we drove the Dominator, and as I'm sure you've seen it, it's parked out there. And that's the Dominator 1. That's actually the original, and it's the only Dominator that's been directly inside a tornado, several in 2009 and 2010, and we measured 175-mile-per-hour wind with it. But it was definitely designed for more warm season severe weather like tornadoes and hurricanes. And driving through freezing fog initially in New Mexico was troublesome because the double Lexan windshield starts accumulating ice so rapidly. We had to pull over every 10 miles and scrape it off, and could barely see just 100 feet in front of the vehicle. And there's already so many scratches on it, you could barely see out of it anyway. But then we hit a raging snowstorm in Flagstaff, and we were about 30 hours behind schedule because of all this severe weather. And Jen kept saying how sorry she was that we had to go through that. But my fiance, who's also a meteorologist, Maria, and I were so excited to be driving through that I said, I'm great. You know, and then we got through the snow and chased another thunderstorm just south of Las Vegas that was pumping out pea-sized hail, and even had a little clear slot. We thought we were going to see maybe a land spout tornado, but it just shows that you always got to expect the unexpected with weather. That's for sure. We thought we'd just be driving through a ridge of high pressure and it'd be 70 or 80 degrees the whole way out, just like it's been most of the winter, but then we saw some of the heaviest snow we've seen all year. And now I'll show you a quick video from the drive out, and it'll show you just how intense it is. We chase all kinds of weather: tornadoes, hurricanes, blizzards, and everything. It was just changed over to snow here. And this whole time, too, we were streaming live video and reporting the conditions through the Weather Channel also and social media. And so with just sharing one video, people that know people in Flagstaff or this area, or people that may know someone who's driving to Vegas, they can share that information through social media, and it shows kind of how far we've come in terms of weather reporting and accessing weather information. And here you can see, too, the fog's lifting off the mountains. Then we came through the desert, and it was sunny. And then this is the convection developing. And after this winter on the East Coast, it was definitely great to finally see some convection like this. It was low-topped, but there was quite a bit of wind shear in place, so there actually was the possibility of land spout tornadoes with these. They actually did produce some water spouts off the coast of California, too, just the day before that my friends were streaming live and also chasing. And that's the clear slot right there. It's the sun kind of shining through. The tornado would happen on the other side of that clear slot. Cyclonic rotation, and basically all that stretching above in the cloud tightens the rotation, and then that's when you get a tornado. And now I wanted to show you just a couple of new videos from 2014. I know you've probably seen a lot of the work we've done. I remember it from my talk last year, but there was a lot of crazy severe weather this year, too. Actually last year, 2014, there were the twin tornadoes near Pilgrim, Nebraska that we chased and tried to deploy probes in. And also the day after that, we had a ground-based probe that we dropped in the path of a tornado, and the tornado moved right over it. We have sensors in those that are measuring temperature, moisture, and pressure. We also have these transparent spheres called zorbs that we put sensors inside, and we'll drop them in the path of the tornado, and they get carried around inside, measuring temperature, moisture, and pressure. And this is a good slide I think you remember from last year. I still have it in my current presentation, but it shows the passion that we have for storm chasing and also for severe weather. And in talking to everybody here, I know you guys are all very passionate about severe weather as well. There's definitely a weather enthusiast in all of us. And that's the Dominator 1 initially. Now it's painted all black, but that's what it looked like back in 2009 or 2010 when it was intercepting tornadoes. That's the Dominator 1 at right. And the radar is on the roof. That's why we built this, is to measure the vertical winds inside tornadoes and also the horizontal velocities. And it has hydraulics, so we could drop that shell flush to the ground so no wind can get underneath. So it basically behaves like a NASCAR vehicle. And when you eliminate that wind underneath the vehicle, it takes an extremely strong wind gust or a big piece of debris to kind of lift it and allow the wind to get underneath. But since that time, we built the Dominator 3, which is in the middle. And that's my first storm chasing vehicle at the upper left. That's a 1985 Plymouth Reliant. And then I also had the Chevy Lumina. That was held together by duct tape there. And I ended up leaving that one on the side of the road in Kansas in 2004. Scratched out the VIN number. And that's what the Dominator 1 looked like first, the one that's parked out there. It started off as just a regular Chevy Tahoe. And just made my last payment on it about 6 months ago, and the bank never knew what we transformed it into. Oh. And our live streaming platform has continued to evolve since last year. We now have a mobile app, and we've also added a storm reporting feature. So we have over 200 storm chasers that are streaming live video through our network. And when their live stream is active, they can tweet a report, like if there's a blocked road or trees down that are preventing emergency vehicles from getting to recovery zones. And then it's shared through social media and pops up on the map as a picture or a video. And so emergency personnel can find clear routes to help out in the recovery effort after tornadoes. And this is one of the tornadoes that we streamed live the day after the twin tornadoes. And that tornado grew to about a half-mile wide, and then we dropped the probe right next to it. This is one up in eastern South Dakota that was on June 18. So there was basically 3 days in 2014, June 16 through 18, where there were really violent tornadoes. And here's one of the storm reporting features that we added to the live streaming platform. And here you can see that it's shared through social media. This is some street flooding, and if this were blocking emergency vehicles from accessing a tornado damage path, they'd definitely want to know about it. And social media is a great tool that we can use to relay information on the ground to people in the path of these storms, which we're all trying to do. I'm just more focused on the ground. I'm afraid of heights, and so I know when there's a lot of storms like this that there's also a lot of aircraft aloft that have to fly around those storms and get people safely to their destinations. And I'm very happy to be on the ground in the Dominator, so I know it's a very hard job to fly around these storms. And they go up to 60 or 70,000 feet sometimes, especially in the tropics. But this time of year, the tops of the storms are a little bit lower. But here you can see some of the monsoon conditions that our network of storm chasers were streaming. And it was a very active monsoon season this year near Phoenix with all kinds of flooding, big-time storms. So we're trying to expand our network across Tornado Alley and also beyond the western and eastern U.S. and also worldwide. And here are the twin tornadoes that happened in Nebraska. This is one of the first times this has ever been documented with 2 strong tornadoes on the ground at the same time. And here I'll show you the video. And we stopped, actually, when we saw the town of Pilger, Nebraska that was destroyed, we stopped and we're doing search and rescue. And this video is from my friend Dick McGowan, who is further east, and he showed both EF4 tornadoes in progress here. And that was the second one just getting going on the right.
Here, please.
And they had just hit the town of Pilger, and then we're moving east here. He definitely should have been driving in the right lane. But we can learn how to be safe by watching videos like this, too. And they're really slow moving, too, but violent tornadoes. There's a lot of instability with CAPE values exceeding 4,000. It's extremely unstable. And so this is just a classic Northern Plains supercell. You just get one rogue storm that just produces tornado after tornado, sometimes multiple at the same time. But the last time this happened was in 1990, and then there's another one in the Palm Sunday outbreak back in the 60s, I believe. But it's definitely along the theme that when you're out there storm chasing, anything can happen, even 2 tornadoes on the ground at the same time. And here you can see in the radar, even 2 mesocyclones were just rotating around like a merry-go-round around that tornado. And then the day after, this is the one that we dropped the probe in the path of. That's the Zorb on the top, our transparent sphere. And you may remember from last year, we're obsessed with the suction vortices, or those miniature tornadoes spinning around in a circle. And those Zorbs are designed to be deployed near those. They get sucked in and then lofted into the tornado, and they measure temperature, moisture, and pressure. And we deployed that one, and it wasn't quite in the tornado circuit. It was in the outer circulation, but not in the core flow. But it was neat. We recovered it afterward using the spot GPS trackers, and we actually saw that a flash flood had picked up the Zorb and carried it away, and it was fun to watch. And that's the ground-based probe that we did deploy inside that tornado. And one of the years that we're focusing on in the panel discussion, I know, is 2011, which was probably the last really active tornado season. You can see across all the southern U.S., including the record-breaking super outbreak on April 27th. But then the last few years are relatively quiet. And we may have more of the same in 2014 with this ridge trough pattern, with the trough, the polar vortex off to the east, and the trough of high pressure to the west. That usually means a later start to tornado season, and it may not be as active. But we also do have a weak El Nino that's developing in the Pacific. So whenever you have that extra moisture getting injected into the polar jet stream, you never know what can happen. But it's only another month until storm season. But I look forward to talking with you a little bit more about what we do on the ground, and also relating that to what you folks do as air traffic controllers. There are several parallels about how we work together as a team, and all trying to deliver information that can help save lives in the path of storms and other hazards. So thanks again for having me.